Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Friday, the 26th. Normally we tape on Thursday, but because of Thanksgiving, Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com is joining me on a Friday. And anyway, Doug, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
I certainly did, and had a very nice day with the family, of course, and did all those types of things. Obviously, watched some football and got that in. So yeah, everything was a really nice day. And hey, you know what? We're heading into a heck of a weekend, aren't we? I mean, there's just we're taping on Friday, and as we're doing it, I got to my right. The San Diego Boise State game on right now. So checking that out. And there'll be a bunch more coming this afternoon. And then, of course, Michigan Michigan and Ohio State Saturday among the big games. And Sunday, we have some more beauties coming our way after a pretty interesting day yesterday in the NFL, I thought anyways, at least the first couple of games.
Yeah, Dallas is what we could take from that, in my opinion, is Dallas certainly isn't the explode. Well, they still had a good offensive game, but it certainly hurts them with Amari Cooper and CD Lamb out of the lineup. I mean, that's your top two receivers and two of the best receivers in football right now. The Buffalo Bills regained their form with a 31-6 win over at New Orleans and covered as a large 7-point favorite. Boy, New Orleans is in trouble right now. Offensively, they're just anemic. I know they were missing their top two running backs, but they're not the same offense we've seen in the Drew Brees era. And then also we had the Raiders upsetting Dallas in the other game. This Detroit Lions, if there's a way to lose.
It wasn't memorable, Ross, at all. I mean,
if there's a way to lose, they find it or invent it.
It's amazing. And because the other thing, one of the most amazing things that I saw, because I can't remember the last time it was ever called. They called Detroit for 2 timeouts in a row.
Yeah, and a 5-yard penalty.
right. And it's like, who does that happen to? It doesn't. I mean, the referees go over, hey, coach, you can't call 2 timeouts in a row. So I don't know what Campbell did. Okay, so like if he was so adamant that he wanted another one, they said, okay, here's another timeout for you, 5 yards.
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, I know right now he's the last 3 weeks he's been calling the offensive plays. He relieved. He didn't relieve. I mean, Anthony Lynn is still quote unquote their offensive coordinator, but he took over play calling duties from Anthony Lynn, and that's a lot on a head coach's plate. You know, especially somebody who's not been a successful offensive coordinator in years past at the NFL level anyway. But it was a Chinese fire drill on more than one occasion for Detroit, getting the right personnel on the field, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where that second timeout stemmed from. So just you can't win games. It's hard enough to win games in the NFL without your head coach not managing the game in close contests. Now, it's not all his fault. I admire his passion and his fire, but at the end of the day, the Detroit Lions are now 0-10-1. You know, Doug, we talked about this last week. Couple points. Number one, the road underdogs, single-digit road underdogs, how well they've done. Well, as of yesterday, right now, we're talking about road underdogs of 7 points or fewer have gone 50-24 against the spread this season. That's 67.5%. That just can't continue. I said that last week. I'll say it again this week. Just again, I don't want anybody to take this when I'm saying and saying, well, that's a no-brainer situation. Ross is saying it can't continue. Let's go the other way. Or I'm going to continue on that flow until it stops. I don't have an exact answer for you. I just know over the years of my experience in this business, and when you see a lopsided number like this involving all teams, folks, in just a particular season, and then when you do a long-range study on how road underdogs do 7 or less since even the last 20 years, you see that it's nothing more than a 500 proposal. that's where my warning signs come up. And you made a good point last week, and I want you to touch further upon that, is about the parity in the NFL and how we were talking off air and how you indicated to me, which is a great point, is that you could find a lot of value right now, betting value, that is, on betting NFL futures, because there's teams that are sitting at 6-4 or so right now, 7-4. That might be a pretty good betting value to win it all right now, Doug. I'll let you elaborate.
Yeah, and to that point, well, we've been talking all year about the lack of great teams, okay, in the NFL this year. Yeah, we have identified who the bad ones are. That's pretty obvious. But there's been a few teams that have stood out, and they've a lot of times they've bounced back with nice victories, coming off a loss. So we'll see how that plays out. Even a couple of instances this weekend. But the thing is that so the numbers are they're still pretty tight, okay, and so there's, from that standpoint, there's nobody that you look at and say Tampa Bay probably is the worst, but they're still only there in part because of what they did last year. So that's from a public perception, and their roster, you could, I guess, still make the case it's as talented as anyone's. But for example, you look at them on the road, and especially from a betting standpoint, they're 0-5 against the spread on the road this year. Okay, so Now that had nothing to do with futures per se, but obviously, if they keep performing poorly, at some point somebody's going to pass them up in a futures bet. And the other thing that I think of, and it goes back to I can't think of a lot of teams, but I can think of just a couple off the top of my head that were 6-4, okay, at about this time of the year in previous years. Now we're adding an extra game, of course, this year, but they were 6-4. There was nothing, that they were maybe a good team, maybe it had a good past, or they were an okay team. But I think of the Joe Montana with the 49ers, like I believe it was their last Super Bowl they won. They were 6-4 right now. I could be wrong in this, but I thought that New York Giants, the first time they beat New England, in the Super Bowl, I thought they were 6-4. They might have even been 5-5, but I want to say 6-4.
I know they finished 9-7, Doug, that season, if I'm not
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, so there was nothing. So again, there was nothing there to look at the Giants to say that they were now. Does that mean you can spot? Did anybody spot the Giants as a Super Bowl champion? Okay, no, but you know what? It's worth looking into. And even if you make small wagers, okay, on some of these things, instead of betting, let's just say $400 or $500, okay, on something like that, you throw $100 on that. And a payout like that can be pretty substantial. So my point would be, look around, look at the odds. Look who's starting, at least potentially trending better. See how they do this weekend, because I really believe this is the start of when we're going to start to find out who the best teams are.
Yes,
this weekend. And so just be very aware of it. And if you got your eyes open, do your homework. You know what? You can make some money finding the right team that could have a really nice payout.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Indianapolis does this week against Tampa Bay. They're one of those teams that I think falls in the category of what you're talking about. 6-5. They have won their last 3. They're coming off a blowout win against a very good Buffalo team. They run the ball. They have the best running back in football that's healthy right now in Jonathan Taylor. I preface that with healthy being the key word, because otherwise Derrick Henry, you would have a difficult time taking him off that pedestal. And they have a great offensive line, and they play solid defense. They're fundamentally sound. I like Frank Reich, but we'll see. I mean, this is going to be a test. Now, Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken, dropped their last 2, Doug. I know that they haven't played well of late. You did bring that up. In any event, it'll be a good measuring stick. Do you have any one team that comes off the top of your head without giving it a lot of thought, who the folks might want to take a look at going forward?
Well, you stole my thunder already, Ross.
Oh,
you mentioned the Indianapolis Colts. I think this team is ready to go. They're 7-2 in their straight up or I'm sorry, 6-2 in their last 8 games. And in those games, or it might be 5-2, excuse me. It's one or the other, 6-2 or 5-2. But the 2 losses that they occurred were both in overtime. So in essence, they could have won either of those games. They just had my luck instead. Okay, when it came to overtime. So that's the difference there. But no, I think this team, I think they'll have an excellent chance to maybe pull the upset this week. And if that's the case, I think they become prime material. Okay, to somebody to look at, because they can win. They've already proven they can win on the road.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so if they end up, as a 4th seed or, whatever, 6th seed, something like that, I don't think going on the road is going to be a problem for them. And let's face it, last year against Buffalo in the playoffs, except for Frank Reich making some questionable judgments, they had a real shot to beat Buffalo.
They did. They only lost that game by 3, 27-24, as I recall.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, Doug. And, the other thing is, Doug, people don't realize Carson Wentz, who's got a real bad rap, I should say, over the last couple of years in Philadelphia, he's been reunited with Frank Reich. Now, when I say reunited, the best year that Carson Wentz ever had in the NFL came with Frank Reich as his offensive coordinator in Indianapolis. And he is now his head coach in Indianapolis, and Frank Reich is a play caller. So there's no coincidence that Carson Wentz is having an impressive bounce back year with his new team and his former offensive coordinator. And again, when you could run the ball as well as Indy could, and as long as you don't fall behind by 14 to 17 points in the second quarter, a good running game travels well as well. And you mentioned it, Doug, about their road record. So yeah, keep in mind, folks, they're 6-5, but they started the season 0-3. So it fits the profile of what Doug was hinting at and giving you clues at in terms of finding betting value on NFL futures at this particular moment of time. Anyway, Doug, you have a free pick for us, and it comes in that really intriguing game between the LA Rams and the Green Bay Packers, two of the best teams in the NFC and the NFL overall. What do you got for us, Doug?
Well, I have a question for you before I go there.
Sure.
Were you surprised the line is what it is on this game?
I did, because, they're both very good. But when I think of Green Bay, I think of a strong home field. When I think of Green Bay, playing in Green Bay in late November, December, and January is not a picnic, and especially for an indoor warm weather climate team. So, yes, it did jump right out at me.
And I get the reason, let's just say in theory, why it is. I mean, right now, Ross, they got 7 guys that were in the Pro Bowl last year. And so far they've missed those 7 guys have missed 36 games. Okay. So, I mean, that's a lot of talent that has been wiped off, off their plate. And, Aaron Rodgers with his COVID toe showing the media and all of us the other day. So that was interesting. Little Brett Favre-ish, I would have to say. We're playing the passive aggressive card, because as you probably remember, Brett Favre, his press conferences, I got 3 broken ribs, broken clavicle, and I tore my hamstring, but I'll play this week. So that was all part of his thing, and so we'll see what happens there. But you know what? Rodgers last week came out. The offense finally perked up. Okay, yes, they lost to Minnesota, but he had 372 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Everything seemed to open up a little bit for them. And as we've seen with the Rams, even though they didn't give up a ton of rushing yards, either to Tennessee or to San Francisco in their last 2 games, they did not like, and they do not like, teams that get physical with them. Okay. For whatever reason. Okay. That's just kind of not their deal. And if you can establish the run, keep the chains moving in the right direction where you have 3rd and shorts, they don't do as well. And yes, Aaron Jones might not play again, but AJ Dillon will. And talk about somebody that can bring the lumber, okay, as a physical running back. I think that's a big part of what they do. The other thing too, that I look at with the Los Angeles Rams defense is they have a real problem guarding tight ends. Now the Packers, since they've lost Robert Tonyan, they haven't had as much, but last week it started to come back. And if there's one thing that we know about the Rams defense, it's very much like the full service 24-hour gas stations in the LA area. Tight ends are open all night. Okay. So that being the case, so I think that's another big plus. Matthew Stafford's he's coming off 2 poor games. I said this elsewhere. He's proven that he is a very good quarterback. He's just not an elite quarterback. And so some of the problems that were blamed on his teammates in Detroit, well, some of them were his fault too. Okay. In this one, he as far as receivers, he's got Cooper Kupp, to a lesser degree, Tyler Higbee. But beyond that, no Robert Woods. It's just not the same offense. And as you mentioned, the cold weather, the Packers, playing at home. I just think the Green Bay Packers come out here. It's not going to be a blowout by any measure, but I think the Green Bay Packers come out and they win this game by 3 or more points and go into their bye week feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't disagree with you on that. I mean, you look at Matthew Stafford. He's had a productive NFL career, mostly up until this year, all with Detroit. But the thing that you got to keep in mind, this guy over the course of his time in Detroit did not play in a lot of big games because, quite frankly, most of the teams he played on were terrible. And when he was called upon, like in the home games against Green Bay and some of the games on the road within the division, he failed miserably. So it's something to be concerned at. I would definitely see how he plays this week. Now, as opposed to the rest of the Rams, Stafford's had a vast amount of experience playing at Green Bay. But how much success did he have when he did play there? So something to keep in mind. So you like the Green Bay Packers? They're -1, right? Is that what you got, Doug?
Last I saw was a pick, but I honestly didn't have a chance to look this morning. Okay. So that they could be -1. And so if that's the case, yeah, just take it on the money line and why mess around?
Yes. So that's what I was going to suggest if it was -1. But in any event, keep in mind, folks, that the lines we give you are the ones that are currently at the time of taping. So keep that in mind. You might be, we're recording on Friday. If you see this on Sunday morning, you might say, what are these guys talking about? On the other hand, we do grade the games on the line we give you on the show. So it's like a bet made is a bet laid. So any event. The LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos, Doug. The LA Chargers are a 2.5-point favorite on the road. And boy, did Denver look terrible last week, and a 30-13 loss at Philadelphia, in which they allowed the Eagles to run for more than 200 yards. Now, the LA Chargers, a tough team to figure out. Every time you think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC, they put up a performance like last week where they dominated from a statistical standpoint, but had to hang on to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers after squandering a double-digit lead in the second half at home. Wasn't a very inspiring performance in that regard. Now, also keep in mind, the LA Chargers have lost 7 of their last 8 trips to Denver. And I know these are different teams, and I know the rosters change annually, but there's, it's worth noting when a franchise has a long-term failure against another franchise, it's something you can't ignore. And also the Denver Broncos, since Vic Fangio has taken over as head coach, taken is not a word. They're 5. Yeah, they're 5-0 straight up in ATS at home after a game in which they allowed 14 points, or they scored, 14 points or fewer. Remember, they're coming off that 30-13 loss at Philadelphia, and Denver's also been money at 3-0 straight up in ATS after being outgained, and 3-0 straight up in ATS with Fangio after being outgained by 100+ yards in their previous game, which they were against Philadelphia. They were outgained by, I think, over 200 yards in that game. I can't find the exact statistics. But in any event, I'm going to take a little bit of a shot here. Right now, we're looking at the Chargers are either a 2.5 or 3-point favorite. So I'm going to go with the 3. And if you get 2.5, folks, it's always a good idea. It's not a sign of weakness to buy that up to 3. Now, I know it costs you not only extra juice, but more than normal extra juice when you bet off a key into a key number, which we're betting 2.5 into a key number of 3. But it's well worth your time to do so, because all you need to do is catch a push 1 in every 11 times that you do so, and you'll come out on top. So in any event, Doug, what do you got going on this week? And what could you tell the listeners how you've been doing of late?
Well, the NFL still having a real solid season, Ross, hitting a little over 58% on the year. So happy with that. Profit, I think, of right around 2,600, as I recall, based on units. So that's been good. I got a big 7-unit play, part of a five pit package in the NFL. So ready to go with that this weekend and deliver. One of the games also will be the Monday nighter. So if you buy the package, you'll get that game as well, all part of the deal. So that's at Doug Upstone at Doc Sports, and hey, excited for that. And college football, or college basketball, starting to get into roll. And I've actually had some good success recently, hitting a little over 64% in the NHL. So wow. have some good things going there, and see if we can keep that going too.
He's an all-around man with an all-around plan. One of the finest handicappers in the country, folks. Doug Upstone, my buddy, but more importantly, one heck of a pro. And you could find his picks at docsports.com. I've been red hot in college football, 14-5 with my last, or I should say, the last 3 Saturdays in college football, 14-5, not bad. I'll have 4 to 5 selections again on Saturday. They'll be released later today, including a 10-star top play. My last 2 10-star game of the weeks in college football, Ohio State winning by 28 as a 21-point favorite over Purdue. And then last week I had the Utah Utes as my game of the week, and they were -3 at reverse number 3 Oregon, and they crushed them 38-7. I couldn't figure that line out for the heck of it. You always got to go contrary, or I do, when I see something suspicious like that. Doug, I did mention Tampa Bay losing their last 2 in a row. That's incorrect, because they did win on Monday night. I slipped my memory, 30-10 over the Giants. I did have the under in that game. I also cashed in with a 10-star top play in the NFL on Thursday with the Buffalo Bills -5. I got them at 5.5. They did go up to 7, got down early, and they crushed New Orleans 31-6. Game that was never in doubt. Remember, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, feel free to do so, because it costs you absolutely nothing. While you're there, hit that notification bell. Any of the sports betting videos that go up on this channel, my videos with Doug, also with Chip Chirimbus, you'll be notified immediately. Until the next time, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. But until next Monday, when me and Doug are back, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the best. Take care. God bless.